Hello everyone and welcome to an ebook haul. These ones are all under the category of LitRPG. So these are all ebooks that I did get for free at one point or another. This has been accumulating for over 2 years now, and I'm still trying to get to where I can film these videos. So here is one of them. This is for the genre LitRPG. I have 31 books in this video to tell you about. So this is a completely new genre to me. Now, I knew what RPG is, role-playing genre. I knew that. LitRPG, I do have it pulled up on my computer here, and as well as these books I'm going to be talking about. I have it pulled up off to the side, so I will be looking off to the side. And then I'll insert any images of the books next to me. So it says LitRPG, short for literary role-playing game, combines the excitement of science fiction and fantasy with the strategic elements of role-playing games, bringing together fantastical narratives with game-like mechanics. LitRPG has captivated readers who crave stories that mirror the progression-based nature of RPGs. So that's LitRPG, and those are the books that we are going to be talking about. So I will tell you additional genres if something comes up, or age categories. If it's sci-fi or a fantasy, I will not. Just figure with that description, these are most likely going to fall under either science fiction or fantasy, if not both. But anything outside of that, I will tell you about. So let's go ahead and get in, because these videos can be quite long. Now, I have noticed with some of these, as I've been pulling them up, the synopsis is actually quite a bit shorter than other ones. So this video might not be as long, but it can still be kind of long. So first one I have is Empyrean's Rise. This is book number 1 in the Grand Game Ynna series, written by Tom Elliot and Rohan M. Vider. This has 282 ratings with a 4.23 average. For centuries, the new powers have controlled the game, but the game was eons old before their rise, and now something new, and old too, is stirring the Empyrean. In the unlikeliest of places, in the depths of a power's sector and in the heart of a young woman, an ancient bloodline stirs. Ynna is an orphan, long bereaved of both her parents. She hates the game and everything it represents. But now, fate threatens to steal one of the few remaining people Ynna holds dear, her brother Soren. How far will she go to save him? And will she become the very thing she hates in doing so? Next up is Outpost. This is book number 1 in the Monsters, Maces, and Magic series, written by Terry W. Ervin II. 221 ratings with a 3.68 average. Glenn, a college sophomore, has a Sociology 102 paper that requires spending time with an unfamiliar group or culture. Luckily, 2 hot girls from his class have the same, attend the university's game club to get reaction material for their papers. Okay, that kind of went over my head, but I'm going to just move on. A creepy game moderator shows up, ready to start a game of monsters, maces, and magic. Glenn doesn't fret over the GM's disturbing vibe, figuring it'll lead to potential fodder for his paper. Moments after rolling up his character and beginning the adventure, Glenn, his 2 classmates, and 3 other players are drawn into the game, literally. How and why they got trapped in the game, transformed into their RPG characters, are important questions, sure. But simply surviving a world filled with horrific creatures, unknown magic, and perilous roads is first on the list. Forever Quest Online Battle Arena, written by Alex Maven. This has 121 ratings with a 3.89 average. Trapped in a vintage fantasy reality, he's a sickly dark elf too weak to lift a weapon. Can he win a brutal battle before he's lethally logged out? Timur has been an underdog all his lowly life. Obsessed with old school gaming, he risks his neck to mine virtual currency for the mob. But after he's arrested and awakens inside a simulated online arena, he'll have to fight to the death or watch his sister perish. Assigned a weakling build in a combat-heavy world with no respawns, Temur relies on his outlandish plans and magical stats to outwit his burly enemies. But with self-aware NPCs, faceless killers, and perilous dungeons standing between him and his sibling, the nerdy smart aleck plunges headlong toward a permanent game over. Can the scrappy gamer outclass his foes before his health hits 0? Next up I have Git Gud, G-U-D, Gud, I'm guessing it's Gud. This one is a LitRPG anthology. So this one's a collection of short stories by a bunch of different authors. So I'm not going to go listing all of the authors. So just a collection of short stories. It says crunch, bite, slash, and get your game on. Join us for these short adventures into ever-expanding worlds from some of LitRPG's brightest and most innovative. Let these tales take you from sci-fi worlds full of wonder to fantasy landscapes where nothing is quite as it seems. Ponder what is real and what isn't. Find yourself out of time and space, and most important, don't forget to give the dog all the pets, because there's more at stake than anyone realizes. Glitchworld Fustercluck. Like cluck like a chicken. Fustercluck. It says, let's see, this was written by Damien, Hanson, and Nolan, Locke. This has 16 ratings with a 3.06 average. And that's one thing I am noticing on this. LitRPGs do not have a lot of ratings. And I have never heard anyone talk about LitRPG books. And I haven't read any before, so this is a completely new genre to me. But it'll be interesting when I finally do get to these. You know, obviously not a lot of people are reading these. There's not a lot of ratings and reviews. Let's see, it says, a nanotechnology part gone wrong, rogue AIs, prisoners on the loose, and way too many dirty acronyms. And then it's just talk about how okay. I thought it said pre-order. It says this is a pre-reader to Glitchworld, a 10-book, 4-tier action comedy pyramid serial whose first 4 books set up the origin stories of the heroes and villains. So this is like a prequel, but it's a book for the whole series. Anyway. Okay, The Pariahs, written by David Adams. This is book number 1 in the Pariahs series. 61 ratings with a 6.43 average. It says, 2 sells words. A half-elf and half-orc find their way over before it even begins. But trouble is stirring on the home front, conflict which threatens more than just their lives. It says this is a novella set in the world of Wren of Atikala. So, okay. Moving on, I have A Healer's Gift, written by Wong. This is book number 1 in Adventures on Brad series. Okay, now this one does have quite a few ratings. 1,699 ratings with a 3.88 average. And there's really no additional tags to tell you about, because if it's fantasy, you're thinking there's going to be some magical elements a lot of the time. With science fiction, I automatically think there's going to be some kind of adventure. So, yeah, there's really not much to tell you more about that. A Gifted Healer, A Dungeon Town, A Fate Yet to be Determined. Daniel was gifted by the gods at birth, able to heal with a touch, even the most grievous wounds. Every gift has a price, and his gift requires a payment few would pay. Caught between his gift, his duty, and his heart's desire, Daniel journeys to a nearby dungeon town to take his first steps as an adventurer. Whether he'll succeed or not might just be dependent upon the friends he makes and the skills he acquires. Next, I have Wren of Atikala by David Adams, and this is book number 1 in the Wren of Atikala series. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. 302 ratings with a 3.69 average. Let's see. I am Wren of Atikala. Kobold. K-O-B-O-L-D. Sorcerer. Warrior. I am many things, and I have many stories to tell. This one is about my home. Home. The word has a special resonance with us all. Great or humble, rich or poor, everyone cherishes their home, and if deprived of it, loses a piece of themselves. I remember looking back at Atikala. Its ceiling collapsed in. The homes of 50,000 kobolds crushed under unimaginable tons of rock and dirt. I remember the feeling of horror and denial that immediately set in. I wanted to reject that this had happened to me, to scream to the ceiling until the rock receded, until fate changed its mind and restored everything to the way it was. I thought that life could not be so cruel as to take everything I'd known in an instant. Oh, how I now understand that life can be capricious indeed. This is the story of how I came to the surface of Traumerei and unwillingly traded a life for a life. Okay. Roguelike, written by Bellow. This is part of the Tower of Gates series, 105 ratings with a 3.85 average. Desperately seeking the amulet of Yendro, Alex enters a roguelike embedded inside the Tower of Gates VRMMORPG. Not sure what that is. If he makes it out by avoiding yet another stupid death, he'll gain an epic magic item and rejoin his companions. Was taking the chance and going into the roguelike his biggest mistake? Or will playing bring him even further riches and glory? Find out in this first supplement adventure to the Tower of Gates universe. Alright, so at least we know it's the first in a series. Next up is Alpha Zero. This is book number 1 in the Alpha series, written by Arthur Stone, 1,132 ratings with a 4.23 average. I should not exist. All children like me are stillborn or die in infancy. Those who cannot grow stronger die. No empty child has ever reached a year of age, yet I am now 13. It has been a long and miserable 13 years, where the best I can manage to do is walk with difficulty. Sometimes I cannot even manage that. My clan has paid dearly for every minute of my life, and money is not easy to obtain. Here at the edge of civilization, perhaps I might have lived in this state for many years, a cripple, strong in mind but feeble in body. But when some unexpected guests came to our estate, everything changed. I would die last, or I would learn to survive on my own. Next up, I have Welcome to Probet, written by V. Moody. This is book number 1 in How to Avoid Death on a Daily Basis. 799 ratings with a 3.79 average. What if you really were transported to a fantasy world and expected to kill monsters to survive? No special abilities, no OP weapons, I don't know what that means, no status screen to boost your stats. Never mind finding the dragon's treasure or defeating the demon lord. You only need to worry about one thing: how to stay alive. All the people summoned from parties and set off on their adventures, leaving behind the people who nobody wants in their group. Story of my life, thinks Colin. Alright, next is Memories, written by Stephen Morse. This is book number 1 in Continue Online series. This has 1,281 ratings with a 3.98 average. A man broken by despair and depression. Grant Legate finds himself in a once-in-a-lifetime situation after receiving an Ultimate Edition copy of Continue Online. All he wishes for is a distraction from the thoughts plaguing his waking hours. He dives in head first, unknowing the AI's intentions. They offer him the chance to play as one of their own, a NPC deserving of a proper send-off. What he discovers during the journey shakes Grant to his very core. Alright, next is Nullform, and this is book number 1 in a series by the same name, Nullform, written by Dem Mikhailiov. 211 ratings with a 4.2 average. In this world, everyone starts with no memory and no recollection of their past life. In this world, you have nothing. Even your limbs are rented. Okay. and you'll have to pay up every day. In this world, you must complete tasks assigned to you by the system or be fined and stripped of everything, including your arms and legs. Okay, that's really weird. I'm definitely intrigued by this so far. In this world, you're under unrelenting supervision, but in dark corners, hidden from the system's watchful eye, violence, brutality, and lawlessness abound. In this world, you're assigned a number. You're a volitudinal Nullform. Okay. Now it's up to you to adapt to this reality and try to survive without ending up crippled. Just don't mess up, or you'll be wishing you were dead as you dig yourself deeper into an endless pit of debt. This world will not take pity on you. You'll have to work tirelessly to earn the right to live another day. Okay, I'm intrigued. Dungeon of the Old Gods, written by Wolfe, Locke. And looks like this might be a standalone, but we'll see when I read the synopsis. 94 ratings with a 3.77 average. Dungeon, quest, adventure. A journey into madness. Descend into the dungeon. When John Younger answered the regent's call to find a missing prince, he thought it would be an easy way to make some quick coin. He was wrong. Thrust into a life or death battle with creatures only heard about in stories long since forgotten, John finds himself in the enemy of elder ones and old gods. I don't know what that sentence is supposed to be. No idea. Okay, moving on. As he descends into the heart of darkness, John must use all of his brains and brawn to survive each floor of the dungeon. He is not alone. He'll need to save the others and gain the favor of those who dwell within. Will John make it to the final floor and escape, or will he succumb to those who dwell below? Breaking Bard, Serenade. This is book number 1 in Chronicles of Rithmark, number 1. A.J. Wiseman is the author, 135 ratings with a 4.19 average. Play a bard, meet sexy girls, and discover forgotten lore. Darren is homeless when he's offered the deal of a lifetime. Get paid to play a bard in an online virtual reality game. The catch? He's tasked with awakening Angelica, a crippled girl who spent 10 years in the game. Okay, what's with the being crippled in all of these? I like that there's representation, but it seems like this, I don't read a lot. I don't recall the last book that I read with someone that's labeled as crippled, and I don't know if that's actually the correct term to use or not, but that's the word. I am reading it directly from the synopsis on Goodreads, so yeah, okay. Let's see. As he embarks on his search for her, Darren goes on adventures, learns the lore of the land, and finds that being a bard is more fun than it seemed. But appearances can deceive, especially in a VR world, and Darren is taken aback to discover the girl he's been assigned to track may not even be the right one, when he finds not one but 3 girls who fit the bill for Angelica. Darren is forced to stretch his talents and skills to investigate them all, thrusting himself into the midst of warring players, corrupted guilds, and forgotten lore. As secrets bubble to the surface and chaos looms, Darren's investigation puts the girls under threat, and he's forced to decide where his loyalties lie. Can he uncover the truth and save them before it's too late? And more importantly, does he have what it takes to be a bard? Okay. Supers, X-Heroes 1, and the series is the same name, Super X-Heroes. Written by Jamie Hawke, 1,519 ratings with a 3.79 average. It says this contains adult content. Seriously. Who in the right mind tells both his lawyer and judge presiding over his murder trial, F you, while still in the courtroom? No one, right? Yeah, you'd be wrong about that. I did. You'd say the same thing if you were just found guilty of a murder you didn't commit, though. Call me crazy for going off like that in court, but trust me, you don't know crazy until you see what happened next. I never believed in superheroes. I certainly didn't believe that I'd become one, or that strategically forming a harem of hot chicas and getting down with them to unlock my superpowers would be the key to my survival. Did I say my survival? I meant the universe's. No, really. That's exactly what happened when I was taken to a galaxy of supers, thrown into a prison ship full of villains, and told it was up to me to stop them all. Read on, friend, because it gets a whole hell of a lot crazier from here. It does say this book contains violence and sexual situations, a harem, heads exploding, and ample blood. So definitely a heads up on that one. Traumerei, something, I don't know, Volume 1. This was written by Ynna San Juan, 5 ratings with a 4-star average. Why has time stopped for no one but you? Once upon a time, underneath crimson skies and spindly morose trees, there lived a vampire named Noel Russuru. While his existence was one of monotony, it was familiar. All was well, and he was content, until a curious rosy-eyed demonic girl and her magpie stumbled across the small cabin he called home. Placed upon a crossroads, Noel must decide whether to continue on in ignorance or confront the mysteries of his past, particularly the reasons as to why he was trapped in that lonesome, isolated house for over 50 years, and the disappearance of his Aunt Delia. Unfortunately, the outside world is not as he remembers it to be. Another Stupid Spell, written by Bill Riccardi, and this is Another Stupid Trilogy, book number 1. Another Stupid Spell is a first-person high fantasy novel, the likes of which hasn't been seen in 60 years. The tone and vocabulary of the story shifts as our narrator, Scorch the Orc, finds ways to enhance his intelligence. You get to grow as Scorch grows, learn as he learns, and share his most intimate thoughts. Scorch is an orc mage in a world where orcs are cursed with stupidity every time they cast a spell. The only spell he can safely cast is Enhance Intelligence, which boosts his IQ for a fraction of a second before the curse drains it all the way again. Normally casting such a spell would be pointless, but Scorch's tribe has found a way to benefit. Magic that is cast near a mysterious artifact called the Voodoo Engine causes invisible hands to appear, and these hands get work done for his tribe. Scorch is a slave to the Voodoo Engine, casting a single spell over and over again to avoid being beaten by the chief's warrior caste. While foraging for food on one fateful night, our hero happens upon 2 human mages who are in big trouble. He saves their lives, and in return they give him an amulet that will make his life easier. Unbeknownst to the humans, their gift grants Scorch the power to break the cycle of intelligence drain and physical abuse. With the help of his friend and mentor, Shaman, Scorch becomes a real mage. Scorch leaves his swamp and embarks on a series of incredibly exciting and dangerous adventures. During his travels, he encounters horrible injury, magical treasures, love, snow, university admissions tests, a plot against the kingdom, and then, of course, he saves the world. Or does he? Be prepared to rethink everything you know about thinking. If your own intelligence was the fuel that your magic ran on, how brightly would you dare to burn? The Castle of 1,000 Doors, written by Kenny Gould. This is book number 1 in the Toroth Goal series. 80 ratings with a 4.33 average, written by Kenny Gould. I said that. It says, King Crow isn't having a very good day. The Empire's most famous athlete suddenly finds himself convicted of treason and sentenced to the Hunt, an annual event where the city's most undesirable prisoners are sent into a dungeon filled with treasure, magic, and bloodthirsty monsters. Crow didn't commit the crime, so why is he in the dungeon? Who set him up? And why is his only weapon a fast-talking sapient, electromagnetically charged potato named Spud? John King, Crow, and Spud are in the first this series. Okay, that's all that one says. Next is Stardust Wake, written by C. Clark. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. This is book number 0.5, so a prequel in the Starship Teapot series. This has 77 ratings with a 3.52 average. They've been friends since childhood, but can their friendship survive adult reality? Confirmed geeks and childhood friends, Lem and Devin are looking forward to reuniting at a convention. Despite their diverging lives and their fair share of secrets, their shared love of cosplay and science fiction brings them together in ways that nothing else could. But not all friendships are perfect. When their old school friend Neris joins them for the day, rifts soon begin to show as the three realize how far they've grown apart. Struggling with Neris's insensitivity and her misguided approach to non-binary gender expression, the group are determined to make the most of their time together and embrace their nerdy selves. But with tensions rising, can their friendship withstand the dramatic ways their lives have changed? All right, we are on the last grouping here, so the last 11 books. This should go fairly quickly now. So this next one I have is The System Apocalypse. This is a short story anthology, so a bunch of different authors. I'm not going to list them all. The System Apocalypse, it looks short stories, is number 5.1 in the series by the same name, so just something to be aware of. It says, a bounty hunting survivor, a galactic dark elf, a woman who has given up her humanity to become something more. These stories and more are available in the first short story anthology for Systems Apocalypse, covering year 1 on Earth. When the world ends, humanity steps up, finding new ways to survive in a world with classes, magic, and monsters. The anthology features exciting new stories by 5 writers and a new, never publicly released short story by Wong. So, and then it's a bunch of different quotes of how great this book is. So, that's that one. The Elemental Order, written by M.R. Kelly. This has 27 ratings with a 4.19 average. With the world on the brink of all-out war, it seems that finally the forces for evil have the upper hand. The Elemental Order has always stood for neutrality, striving to maintain the balance at all costs. But as soon as one war ends, another begins, and the fragile peace unravels. Tommen, Phyllis, and Corton, new agents of the Order, are sent out into the chaotic world around them to keep the peace, preserving life as best they can, forming a bond stronger than any seen before amongst the various castes of magic users. The trio face a series of adventures, pitting them against all manner of creatures and foes alike. The Age of Power draws near its end, but will the Elemental Order do enough to survive its cataclysmic end? Okay. Super Babes. This is written by Jeremy Zenith. This has 209 ratings with a 3.96 average. It is book number 1 in the Super Babes series. All his life, Ryan Walker wanted to be a hero and help the city like a superhero once saved him. When the 3 heroes who protect Eros City are taken down, Ryan gets his chance, thanks to a high-tech implant that uses RPG mechanics to unlock hidden powers. Now that Ryan's become a real-life superhero, he's going to have to face the 5 powerful supervillains that have taken over his city. But he'll have some sexy superheroines to help him along the way. It does say, note, this contains strong language, harem elements, and explicit adult situations. So, okay. The Darker Ages, written by Aaron Lewis. This is book number 1 in the Darker Ages series. This has 53 ratings with a 4.02 average. No one craves an escape more than Alice Carradine. 6 years ago, her future was stolen by an unexpected accident. Now a quadriplegic, Alice is confined to bed and mired in depression. Her saving grace is the Darker Ages, a complex virtual world that offers its players a chance at a new life. In this virtual reality, Alice escapes to the body of Princess Erin, whose life is infinitely more thrilling. As Princess Ervin, Alice gets to experience the fantastical medieval adventure of her dreams. But her virtual life is far from perfect. Her fiancé is a pain in the ass. Her secret crush is murdered in front of her. Then she's abducted by pirates, led by the wickedly charming Alfred Dubois. Arian's roguish abductors dedicate their time to plundering, brawling, and flirting, not necessarily in that order. Okay. Dungeon World, written by Jonathan Brooks. This is book number 1 in the Dungeon World series. It has 2,371 ratings with a 4.09 average. In a distant world 5 times the size of planet Earth, dungeons and their dungeon cores have become the top of the food chain. Millions of dungeons inhabit the planet. I had to double check. I'm thinking, is it supposed to be dungeons or dragons? It is dungeons. So millions of dungeons inhabit the planet, utilizing the various human kingdoms as a source of much needed mana to facilitate their own growth. In turn, humans delve into the dungeons and acquire their own power in the form of essence, which allows them to develop and enhance themselves in a multitude of different ways. It is a symbiotic relationship that has lasted centuries and has brought about the measure of peace. Far in the northern wilds, where no humans and therefore no dungeons regularly frequent, a young man is left alone when his parents are murdered suddenly and unexpectedly. Now, without friends, family, or even supplies, he embarks on a journey to find out who targeted his parents and who he needs to enact his revenge upon. Along the way, he discovers something about himself that his parents said was impossible from the moment he was born. Will he learn to control the new powers he has gained, or will his newly awakened dungeon core abilities consume him? It says contains LitRPG elements such as statistics and leveling, no harems, and no profanities. So this sounds like it's going to be a clean book. Tokens and Towers, Volume 1 by Harmon Cooper, book number 1. It does say Volume 1, and so it is Tokens and Towers is the name of the series. 147 ratings with a 3.9 average. A tower with 7 distinct realms, a barbarian and a sorcerer, the chance of sudden death at every turn. Randy Lionheart never thought he'd be portaled to a fantasy world and told to climb a tower. For most of his adult life, he wrote about these things as a fantasy writer. Yet, as he chooses an axe as his primary weapon, he is told to start slaying killer gnomes. Randy realizes that things are about to change for better or worse. Randy isn't going to be able to reach the top of the tower alone. He'll need cunning, luck, and a friend to help him along the way. Enter Clovis, a human who is also portaled to this fantasy world and who has taken the form of a spellbook. The only problem is Clovis doesn't know how to use the elven magic written in his pages. Together, Randy and Clovis will do everything they can to reach the top of the tower together, even if the rules state there can be only one. A Dream of Wings and Flame. This is book number 1 in the A Dream of Wings and Flame series, written by Kel Plemon. 554 ratings with a 4.37 average. The blood of dragons pumps through his veins. Greatness awaits. Kobolds cower at the bottom of the food chain, forced to eke out a meager existence in the most wretched of caves. Most have made peace with their lot in life, one of eating scraps and carrion. They hide and run from predators, delaying the inevitable day when they aren't fast or sneaky enough to make their escape. But not Samazar. Sam is different from other kobold pups. Traps and caves might keep him and his people alive, but sometimes just living isn't enough. Dragon blood runs through him, and Sam isn't willing to settle for mere survival. Whether by claw, magic, or cunning, one day he will soar above the plains, predator rather than prey, and nothing be a mockery of his tribe, the hazards of the deep caves, or even the almost insurmountable difficulty of successfully evolving his bloodline, nothing is going to stop him. Gaming the System. This is book number 1 in the Imprisoned Online series, written by P.A. Wyckoff. This has 114 ratings with a 3.82 average. Commit to an online crime, go to an online jail. In this MMORPG penal colony, inmates PvP to gain EXP, loot, and most of all, survive. I have no idea what was just stated there. That went way over my head. Let's just continue on. Seth has been sentenced to play in one of these virtual correctional facilities. Sounds fun, right? Maybe for some, but there is no worse punishment for Seth, mostly because he isn't a gamer. Will he be able to complete his sentence with all the trials and objectives thrown at him? Trapped in a virtual world he cannot escape, Seth now has to step outside of his comfort zone and align himself with the very thing he's been rebelling against his whole life, the system. Okay. The Whetstone Fist, number 1. It is a series. It does say it's episode 1. Written by Brian Declan. This has 78 ratings with a 4.12 average. Dirt, Pain, and Grime. That's life on the streets of East Stanwick. There are 2 options. Break your back for a fistful of copper, or take them at knife point. For Matlock Sharp, there's only one chance to escape. Fight through a 5-floor maze full of monsters. A life of privilege and class are waiting for him, but he'll need to overcome more than monsters if he wants to escape the gutter. Alrighty. Ascension by R.M. Mulder. This is book number 1 in the Conquest, the dystopian game lit saga series. This has 18 ratings with a 3.61 average. Attorney by day, gamer by night. After a heart-crushing rejection, Alan Young blows off his responsibilities and escapes reality into the virtual world Conquest until his HUD starts glitching out. I don't know what that is. Okay. He wakes up the next morning to find that his neurological implant has fried yet again, and he begrudgingly decides to go to the office before he gets fired. Alan has banked his entire career on one particular securities contract, but when he unexpectedly meets up with his client one fateful morning, his entire world comes crashing down around him. He survives an assassination attempt due to unnatural means when a halo of protection surrounds him, and his attacker evolves into a nightmarish creature that could only be described as something out of Conquest. When he wakes up from what he has justified to himself as a crazy dream, he meets a vagrant who claims to have seen visions and prophecies about him. But before he can get a grasp on what's truly happening, he transports through a portal into a world patterned after the game, but has no access to his HUD nor his inventory. Can he survive on his wits alone? I guess we'll see. And the last book in this video that I'll be telling you about is Dragon Seed. This was written by James Osiris Baldwin. This is book number 1 in the Archmai Online Chronicles series. This has 1,673 1,673 ratings with a 4.22 average. Would you risk it all to soar with dragons? Hector Park, a combat-hardened veteran conscripted into the turmoil of the Third World War, now fights a war more personal and insidious. The battle against an unforgiving virus threatens to obliterate humankind. He has 3 days to live. When all hope seems lost, a lifeline emerges from Hector's estranged brother, offers him a chance to transcend mortality itself with a one-way trip to the revolutionary virtual reality of Archmai. Hector embraces the experimental digital transformation and chooses the difficult path of the Dragon Knight. But Hector isn't the only one with dreams of taking to Arkmaya's skies. Vicious, ambitious fellow players, corrupt knights, and ancient gods make Arkmai a battlefield just as dangerous as the war Hector left behind. But if he succeeds, he will earn the trust of a dragon hatchling and forge an impenetrable psychic bond with her, a connection deeper than any human relationship. And that is it. That is all the books for this video for LitRPG books in that genre. Let me know, have you read any of these books? Are you fairly knowledgeable with the genre LitRPG? Definitely let me know. I'd be interested to know. And if you do like that genre, if you've read it, what has been your favorite author or book in this genre? Have you read any of these books? Have you read it from any of these authors? Let me know. Do any of these sound particularly intriguing to you that kind of make you want to pick it up? Let me know. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I will talk to you later.